And here's where my father comes in. Because my mother taught me that you can't sit on the sidelines when a fight is important as this fight is. My father taught me that how you play the game is just as important as being part of it. My father is a man of great integrity. And his guidance has led me to believe that in this race, we have an obligation that extends beyond simply winning. This is what I say everywhere I go in this race, and it's maybe the most important thing to leave here with today. There is enormous fear and anxiety in this country today. And it would almost be too easy to trade upon that anxiety and that frustration and turn it into electoral success. It would be just too easy to run a campaign based on what we are not. That would be doing a disservice to the people that I hope to represent. That would be doing a disservice to the people who so badly need to have their faith in government restored. I have a radical concept that will guide us every day in this campaign. Let's be for something. Let's show people what we're for, not just what we're against. And not just the 2 or 3 somethings that the pollsters and the focus groups tell us that everyone agrees upon. Let's use this unique political environment to lead, to truly lead. You know, Martin Luther King once said that there are 2 types of leaders. One leader that waits for the crowd to form and then sprints to the head of the pack. And another type of leader who runs out ahead, turns around and says, "Come with me." In this environment, in this political context, we have a chance, an opportunity that we may not see again, to provide that type of leadership. I want you to hold me to that promise over the course of this campaign. Every time that I talk about how horribly constructed this Medicare drug benefit is, I will tell you exactly in detailed terms how we'll make it better. Every time that I talk to you about how this Congress has turned over the reins of our energy policy to the profiteering oil companies, I'll tell you how we can build a better model. How we can take this country and our energy policy back from the oil giants and give it back to consumers. And every time that I tell you how Congress has been turned over to lobbyists, and allowed to run that city, allowed to write the bills that come before it, I'll tell you exactly how we kick them out of this room. We have an obligation in this race to not just tell you what we aren't, but to tell you what we're for, and do it in a way that is honest. Do it in a way that doesn't just play to sound bites, that actually has a conversation with the voters, a tough one. Sometimes. A difficult one sometimes when we're talking about complex issues like our role in the world, like how we take on a multi-systemic issue like childhood poverty. But in the end, our greatest legacy in this race may not just be the fact that we turn this House back over to the Democrats. It may be that we change people's perceptions of political debate. I'll conclude with a reference to one of my favorite Republicans, Colin Powell, who once said this, stuck with me since I heard it the first time. He said, "Perpetual optimism is a force multiplier." I believe that we can win, and I believe that we can win the right way. But what matters isn't whether I believe. It's whether you believe. It's whether you believe. It's whether you believe. Because if God's greatest invention is the power of individual will, like my mother taught me, then man's greatest invention is the power of collective will. If you believe this race is important as I do, and if you believe that we can win it and win it in a way that restores people's faith in government, then I have no doubt that it can happen. I have no doubt that it will happen. Part of this race is restoring that hope in people that in a time as dire as this moment today, that we can change. We can change in the way that Charlotte Kostoff changed people's expectations about politics 10 years ago. By going house to house, by going door to door, by bringing our message to every corner of this district. Now, that's a lot to expect of me, of this campaign, of all of you. And maybe that's just the naive idealism of youth. Or maybe that's just the son that my parents raised. All of you being here tonight is an amazing first step in this campaign. As we watch the airwaves when we go home tonight, we'll see another round of commercials from Nancy Johnson. And I would love to think that the fear that inspires her campaign to go up with those commercials is because she fears me. She knows that the spirit that that we have in this room, that the determination that we have to change knows no bounds. And the reason that there are $250,000 worth of commercials up on the air earlier than any race in the country is because of what the people in this room and your friends and neighbors have already done. We have begun this change. We said it on a formal course tonight, but it has already begun. I believe that we can win this race, and we can win this race in a way that will make us all proud. Thank you all for being here.